In today's video, we are going to create social application that will be, as you know, social applications like Facebook or something like that. You've got MySpace, and we are going to create something in that pattern, but quite simpler, that you'll be able to create posts, delete posts, add comments, add images, delete comments. So there will be more options to go. So what we will be using, first of all, we'll be using Node.js. So if you don't have, you should install Node.js. Of course, Express.js, a lot of NPM packages that we are going to install. And the database will be the MongoDB to handle our database. So whenever you don't have your account inside the MongoDB, you should go to mongodb.com, then create the account, log in. You've got everything that I just got in the link below. I've created a video about that. And then go to database access, add a new user with password authentication, create that user password, and create the built-in role as read and write to any database. And with that, you will be able to just deploy the application. Remember, MongoDB M0 cluster is for free and it's quite a sandbox, so it will not work very good, but in our purposes to learn something, maybe that later on you can just expand your application, it will be quite enough. So okay, we've got everything over here, and going back to our Node.js application, building it inside the Visual Studio Code. So we are inside the V app, I call it. We've got some folders like public and views, and in the description below, I will show you where you can create that folders from the files that I will provide. So inside the public, you've got the styles, and inside the views, you've got all the views that we are going to use inside our application. Why? Because rewriting EJS can be very tricky, and whenever you make some kind of misspell, you will misspell something, you will be mad, angry, and you will think, okay, I don't care. It's hard to understand where I should, for example, close that bracket. And that's why the application looks like that. Okay, so right now we need to open our terminal, so new terminal, and here npm init-y to initialize our application. Whenever we initialize our application, we start to just install the dependencies. And right now, stay focused. So npm install bcrypt. Also, we'll need the cookie parser. We'll need cserve. So cookie parser cserve will handle the authorization. For example, in the cookie parser, we'll handle our cookies, so we'll be able to get to them. Cserve will help us with another things. So in our case, it will be CSRF protection, so you will not get the CSRF problems. Okay, and the next thing that we are going to need is .env. Why .env? Then we'll need EJS, of course, Express, JSON Web Token, and Mongoose to handle our database. We'll need Molter to handle our images, Node.daemon to handle our application to be still available, and Validator to validate our models. So press enter, wait a few seconds till it's going to be installed. It will take a few seconds because we are going to install a lot of dependencies. So whenever they are creating, we can create new file that will be that. Wait, .env. And inside our .env, we are going to create two files. So it will be first Mongo URI that we are just going to do, and secret JWT, and the secret JWT will allow us to just handle our JSON Web Token, and it will be quite secure over here. So inside the secret JWT, you can create some kind of string. In our case, we can just create whatever you would like, and that's okay. And going back to our MongoDB, we need to go to the connect, and inside our MongoDB for VS Code, we've got that link, and we are going to copy that link. And going back to our .env, and over here, we have to paste that link. So just go there and paste that link. Over here, where you've got that password that I've just provided, you will have password, and you should just copy and then change that to your password, and it will be not the same as I provide over here, because all of us got not the same password. Okay, so we've got that .env file, and right now we need to create our index.js, and inside our index.js we will start to create our magic. So as always, we need Express. Okay, I will just disable my tab 9. Okay, disable, because it will not work and help us. So const express require express. We also need cookie parser, so it will be require cookie parser. Cause of course we need CSRF, and it will be require CSRF. We'll need cause molter, and it will require molter. Okay, we are going to need more things, but later on inside our main application. Right now we need to initialize our application, so const app equals express. Also, we will need to create our CSRF protection, so our CSRF protection, and it will equal to CSRF and cookie to true, and it will be working with our cookies. Of course, the next thing that we should do is update listen, and here we'll just write down the port, write down the function, and console.log server app listening on port 3000. Okay, so we've got our CSRF protection, we've got our app, and as you see, we also got something like molter over there. And right now, we will just create the storage and the upload ability for our application that we will later on using inside our post routes that will of course create. So const storage equals molter.memory storage and parentheses. Of course, const upload, and it equals to molter, and over there we will need to storage, and as storage we will pass storage, and we've got our upload done. Okay, we'll just make some comments. We can create module imports over there. We will just create the other imports over there, and here we'll create our middlewares. And here we need to have that set. First of all, view engine as a EJS, so we'll be able to handle and create and get our EJS files. The next thing will be cookie parser. So we are going to use our import module over there. The next one that we are going to use will be express.static. And over there, we'll create tier name plus public. It will allow us to handle the static files. So in our case, will be the CSS, and inside the public, you've got site.css that we are going to use later on. And without that, it will not work. The next thing, app.use express.json to parse our JSON bodies whenever we create some routes. The next thing, app.use, app.use, and we are going to express URL encoded and extended to true. And it will parse our URL encoded bodies. So that's why we need also that. The next thing, we'll just use our upload ability. So upload that single, and we'll just create some kind of simple sample image. Yeah, the name over here is up to you, but you have to remember that later on, whenever we are creating our application. And almost the last one, it will be CSRF protection. And with that in mind, we are almost ready to go with our index.js, because we need some more things to do over there. And the thing that we are just going to do, it will be inside our FB app. We need to create a new folder, middleware, and inside that folder, we'll just create is off that will handle and check if the user is off. So cast JWT, that's the only thing that we'll just need over here, and we'll require JSON web token from that. So we'll just export that authenticate token, and we need request response and next, because it's the middleware, and right there we'll need to handle the next option. So whenever something will finish, we need to go to the next, so to handle our route properly. And okay, first of all, we need our token, and we'll just get it from request.cookies.token. The next thing that we are going to use is if we've got that token, we need to, if that token is equals to null, we need to set the user to null, and that's going to the next. Else, we got the decoded token, and with that JWT, verify, right there we need token, process that JWT secret. That's the file that we created inside our .env file. That's the variable that we created inside our env file. And if decoded token, so we've got our decoded token, we need to request that user that decoded token that ID. Else, we need to request that user to be equal null, and of course next later on whenever we finish everything inside our is off. And we need that because I would like to finish all the middlewares that we are going to use, and it will be more complicated, and the more complicated user middleware that we are going to use inside our application. So use is auth that we are going to import. So right there inside files importing, we need to const is auth require middleware is auth file that we just got our is auth. So is auth that authenticate token is the first parameter, and the next one that we are going to use request response, and of course next, because that's our middleware, so we need to handle of course the next. And here we need to get to response that locals that CSRF token, and it will be equal to request that CSRF token res.locals that is auth, and it will be equals to our user, and the last one, it will be the next. Okay, and we are ready to go with our index.js. Not only right now, because the next thing that we will have to create, and it will follow us to the next step inside our application. So we need to connect our application to MongoDB and just check it whenever we write some code. So we will just run our application. So right there, we create the file. So db.js, and inside that file, we need count mongoose and require mongoose. We'll of course require the module. Sorry, we don't need to require anything more. And it will be export function create MongoDB. And here we'll just create mongoose that connect, and we'll just process .env that mongo URI, and then we close that parenthesis, and then the result will be the console.log connected, and if there's an error, then catch that error. And we need to, okay, is the function, we need to close the parenthesis over there. So everything should be okay. Right there, we need to const db equals require db. Of course, we need to close it. And whenever we close it, we've got our isAuth and db. We'll just initialize our database right there. The next thing that we will have to do is to create inside the package.json the start ability to create from Node.js index.js. We will run our application. So right now, whenever you don't have to create Node index.js and each time you have to run your application, because you've got Node1, and we are going to just simply npm start, and we've got an error. Okay, inside our database over there, blah blah blah, you are closing over there. That, okay, catch error. Right now, a URI parameter to must be a string got undefined. Mongo URI. Okay, the thing that we have to also just get there, I mean inside our application, it will be to require .env.config, and it's getting better because we are going to have okay, our database should work as it is. So okay, everything's worked correctly because it's the old error that I just got. So right now we are connected to our database. We've got our authenticate, very easy authenticate process that we later on will use inside our application. So we should just go to the next step. So create a new folder, and it will be database models. And in there, we need to create some models. So post model, because we need the posts. The next thing that we are going to create is the command model. The next thing, we've got command model, we've got our post model, we need our user model. And the last thing, it will be image model.js that we are going to create. We'll start from the post. So close other, and inside our post, we are going to create our post model. So here, of course, comes mongoose equals require mongoose to initialize our mongoose. Right there, we need to create our post schema, and there we need a new mongoose.schema, and inside our schema, we need something. So first of all, it will be post title, it will be type string, and it will be required to true. The next thing, it will be post description. The same thing as we've got previously is the type string, and it's required true. The next thing, we need the author, and here we'll just got to the type, and inside that type, as you can see, mongoose.types, and here we'll just get to object ID, and it will be a reference to the user. Of course, we'll need the comments, and the comments will be the array, and inside that array, comment will be mongoose.types.object ID, and it will be a reference to comment, the single one, and the comma over here, we need the image, so it will be type string and require, the image should be type also mongoose type object ID, and it should be reference to image. Also, for later purposes, if you would like to just expand your application, I recommend you to create the timestamps to know whenever the user creates the post. And then we need the post, got it to model. So from the schema, we are converting right now to the model. We'll call it post, and we are getting from post schema. And module.exports, we are going also the post from the exports. Okay, so we just created our post model. The next thing, we are going to create our user model. And user model will be more challenging because we need to verify and convert passwords. And also, the next thing that we are going to do is to verify if user, for example, provides an email. And right there, we need mongoose. So const mongoose require mongoose. We need also validator, and it's required from the validator. We need to crypt our passwords, so we'll be using bcrypt, but we are going to use the normal bcrypt, not JS version. And the last one will be require JSON web token, as you can see over there. So we've got our JSON web token, we've got our backcrypt, we've got our validator, and right now we need to create our user schema, and it'll be new schema. And over there, we will create our schema from the very bottom. So I have to just close that tab 9 to reload our Visual Studio Code. It will be for you easier to follow whenever I will write everything. So username, and here we'll need type string, require to true, and it should be unique. So you should not have two the same username. Name will be type string, and it will be also required to true. We are going to need also second name, and we'll need email. And inside our email, we need the type string, of course, required to true. Of course, it should be unique. And we'll just get it to lowercase to handle our validate. So we'll validate our value that we'll just got from that email field. And our model, in our case, in that moment, schema, will validate if it is not an email. So validator that is email, check it. The value, we are going to throw new error provide email address. Okay, so we are going to check if our value of the email address is as good as we need to have. So right now we validate our email. The next thing what we need to do is to create our password. It will be also type string, required to true. It should be also unique. No, it doesn't have to be unique, because there can be a lot of the same password. It should not be, but there can be. So it will help us to prevent some kind of problem. So we need also the trim. So we'll just delete all the white spaces, and we'll just get the min length at 8. So we've got our minimum length, we've got our type, we've got our required, and our trim over there. We need our tokens. So it will be our JSON tokens that handle our user ID. There we'll be able to verify if the user is logged in inside our application. And that's all that we need to our schema, because we need also to create that as a model. Mongoose, that model, and here user, and I will use the user schema, module.exports user. And of course, that's not all, because right there, we'll just have some fun with the user schema. So user schema, before we save our schema, we need to create some kind of function that will get the next, and we need to hash, so crypt, so we need to make our password more secure. So whenever it will go to our database, it will be hashed. So we are not going to easily get that password. So const user, it will be this, because we are just going to get the user. And if user that is modified, and here we need to pass passwords. That's the same that we provide inside our schema. We need to user.password, await and decrypt, and we need to hash our user. So this user password, and there's the rounds of the salts. So the more you just do, it should be more secure, but don't do a big number. It should not be larger. For example, the 20. I just like with 11 in the documentation you got. For example, as you remember, over there you got 10. In documentation also there is a 10, but you can follow and just go to the BigQuery documentation and check on your own. I will stick with 11. User schema. The next thing that we'll need to create, we need two more things. First, that will generate the auth tokens, and the last one to just log in our user. Simpler, that will just use our bcrypt here and check if the password is correct, and if it's not, then throw some error. So right there, we are going to generate the auth tokens. So in other words, we'll just sign the user and assign the user token from the token that we just going to get from our is auth. So I see that I just got mistake. Okay, I just have to move everything from middleware and user schema, not methods, and here generate auth tokens, async function, and here const user equals this, const token equals gwt sign, and here we need to provide to sign, we need the ID, and it will be user.id to string, because all of the IDs that we'll just provide, we'll just get, it will be the same style that we reference over here, so it will be in the object ID model. So we need to preserve it and save it as normal ID, and process.env.secret JWT. And okay, user tokens, that tokens equals token, and there await user.save. And the last thing that we'll need to return the token. Okay, we need to create the last one. So user schema, that's statics, and login user equal to async email password, and we'll handle them right now. So const users will be await user.find one, and we'll provide email, but we can simplify it to just email. If there is a user, we need to, there is no user for new error, we'll just provide the wrong password or username. It's for the safety purposes. So if someone would like to just break to our database and he will not know, sorry, not database, but he will just want to break to our user and he will not know the password, there will be the security that he will not know if he provide the wrong email and wrong password. That's why we just throw the error wrong password of email. Const check password equals await bcrypt.compare, and here we will compare using bcrypt the password that we pass here and user that password that we'll just get from our database. And if it will not be the true, so it will not compare, we of course throw new error, and we can copy and paste it over here. Of course, later on, we'll just return the user if everything is okay. So we are going very good. We've got our user model created. We've got our post model created. Right now, we've got 2 models left. So we'll just go to the not image comment model. So cast mongoose, it will be require mongoose. And right there, we'll need comment schema. And it will be new mongoose.schema. And there we'll need few things. First will be comment text. It will be type of string, and it will be required because we need to know what's the string. We need the author, and it will be type mongoose.types.object.id, and it will be reference to the user, and of course post ID that we are just going to post type mongoose.types.object.id, and it will be reference to our post. Of course, if you would like to have, we'll just use timestamps to true over there. Okay, there's no error. So current equals mongoose.model, and we'll just provide comment, and that model will create it from one comment schema. Module.exports as always, and we'll just get the comment. And the last model that we have to provide is the image model that we are going to initialize right now. So cast mongoose, require mongoose. As always, we need to create the image, in that case, image schema, and it will be new mongoose schema, and there it will be image data that we'll just provide will be buffer, is the another kind of data, and content type will be the string, because auto will provide the image in the buffer style. I will just show you briefly. Whenever we've got, for example, our show post over there, as you can see, our source file is from data.image JPEG base 64, and that's what we are going to use. That's why we are going to need buffer over there. I'll just close it, and cast image equals mongoose dot model, and image, it will be image schema, and module dot exports image. We just exported its property, and it's work as it should. So right now we've got our whole models created. So the last thing, I don't need a new folder. The last thing that we need to create over there is the new folder, and it will be routes. We'll just start with the simpler route, because most of the logic that we just have, we are going to handle by our user model and if all. So that's why we are going to start with our user routes and Node.js. And then it will be const express, as always, require express const router. It will be express.router. That's the thing that we've got from the express. And const user, we will need to get it from the DB models, and it will be user model. Okay, So we need to handle our login, create account, so some kind of sign up, and log out over there. Whenever you are using EJS, you need to make some kind of parts of it. First is the get part, when you just show our template, in our case EJS, and the next the proper part that we're going to use. So first we're just going to use, for example, router that get login and only render something, and then router, for example, that plus login and will handle our login, the all logic. We'll just follow the pattern inside the user routes and post routes. There are some kind of things that we can change, for example, using the gets and post. But for you, whenever you are learning something, it will be easier to understand how it's working in the way. So first of all, we need to get the route, and we'll just handle our login, request response, and here response at render, and here we'll render the login. It's inside our views, and we'll just get the error. It will be the empty string. Router.post, also for login. Okay, request and response, and there we need the try catch block. First of all, we need to log in our user, and to make it work, we need our const user await user, and that's why beside our user we've got our static method that we can get without using the objects from our class, we can call it, but whenever we create a new const from our, for example, model, we are going to use the login user in the way that we are doing right now. So request.body.email, and we need to pass request.body that password. Of course, we need async over here because that function is asynchronous. And we are going to use request.body email and the request.body password because that's the thing that we need to provide here to authenticate and check our user. Of course, then we need to, and that's the difference between the static and methods, because whenever we got our user login, we need to await, and our user that generate of token. And right now we are getting to the methods, not the statics. Statics, just we are going to use inside our models, and then inside the specific, for example, user, we are going to use methods, and that's the difference between them. We need to get the response, the cookie, and then we need the token, set it as a token, and we'll need to HTTP only the true. And then if everything is okay, redirect to the main page. And if there is something wrong, we need to render the login, and we'll pass the error, wrong password or username. And with that, we can go to the login, and here we've got, for example, if there is an error, we'll follow and get the error message. So going back to our, okay, close it, user routes. We need to router.get, and right now create account, and we'll create that account request response, and of course, press that render, it will be sign up, and there will be no error in that way. And we can just get the router.post, and here we are going to create account, and it will be request response. And here we'll need also to create it async, because it will be asynchronous function. Try catch block to handle our route. And right now we'll first of all const user request that body, because whenever we go to our signup, we've got here all of the information that we need to provide to create our user. Okay, but first of all, we need to check something, because whenever we provide our username as unique and it will follow the error, we'll just make some kind of double check. So const user exists, it will be await user that find user, that's find, and we'll just provide email, user that email, and we need to check one thing. If user exists, that length is equal to 0, so there is no, we'll just follow the pattern and we'll just create account. Else we'll just press that render, and here we'll just sign up, and we can just error user exists. Of course, we can just get our error, we can create over here sign up as well, and make something wrong or something with this. Okay, but whenever we don't have the user with that username, with that email, so we just create a new account, const account, new user, and there we need username, user.username, we need also name, user.name, also we need a second name. Of course, we can destructurize everything and it will be easier, but I would like to show you the both way, because from time to time I will just go briefly and destructurize something and use, for example, like that one, the email as an email, but from time to time I will show you each of the parameters that we are going to provide over here whenever you would like to change and whenever you would like to see. I guess for the beginners that will be easier to follow. So email, it will be user.email, and password, it will be user.passwords. And right now you can just think about it. What about that user.passwords? Don't worry, because everything is handled. Of course, we need account that generate of tokens. Okay, and here await account.save, and if everything's okay, we need to redirect. And you are thinking, okay, we are providing the plain password and then save it, so how our backup should work? As I mentioned before, it's before we save. That's why that save is very important over here and pre over there. Before we save to the server, it will hash our passwords. That's why it's very, very important that it will be in that way. So whenever we understand that we've got our create account, so sign up, we've got our login, so login, and we need the last thing, router.get, and it will be logout. And here we need request and response, and it will be response, not clear cookie, because whenever we click the logout, we'll just clear the cookie with token. And where's the redirect? We are going to redirect the main page. Of course, module.exports, it will be router. Right now we can go to our index.js over there, routes, and we'll just get the user routes because we are going to use them later. Later we are going to use them require, and we need to require the routes and user routes. Of course, it's not all things because we need to go to routes and app.use user routes. And right now we are inside our user routes and checking if everything's okay. Also in that pattern. So, okay, we create our user routes, and right now will be the main part of our routes. So our post routes that also handle our comment and image part. So first of all, const express equals require express as before. Const router equals express not router. Okay. We need to check is off equals require. We go back middleware and is off. We need also our post because we will just working with posts. So come on, DB models, DB model and post model. Then comment DB model and we'll need to comment. The next thing we'll need the user because also we'll going to work with the users. So it will be require the DB model and we need the user model. And the last one, it will be image. It will require the DB model and image model here. And we got every model that we need to provide. Okay, so right now we need to create the routes. First route that we'll just need, as always, we need to provide the routes for all of the posts that we are having. So show all posts. Router.get, and there we get to the main page, async request response, and there we will just create our try catch block. So const posts equals await post.find. So we are getting the all posts. Then we need images. So a image not find. Also we need comments. So await comments not find all. And const users equals await user that find all. And whenever we got all the users, all the comments, all the image, all the post, we are going to render it. So response.render, we render show posts, and inside our show posts, we need the post image. There is a user also and comment that we only slice and show the first three. So show posts, posts. Of course, we can just make posts, images, comments, and users, and res.render error. whenever we catch some error, we'll just provide the message cannot get post from database because we've got some kind of error over here that will handle our errors. And whenever we've got something, we need to show post. The only one post from ID. And there we need to get the specified post. So for example, show post and with the some ID. Whenever we get it, we need async function request response and create the try catch block. Cast post equals await post that find by ID, and here we need to get ID. That will be request forums. That ID. We'll need also more things. So there will be the image, and we need image that find. So it will be simple for me follow that pattern, and ID will be post that image. Comment. The next thing that we are going to with comments, await comment that find, and here it will be in another way. So post ID equals post ID. So all comments that will assign to that ID. And the last thing, constant users, we need to await users that find the all users that we just got inside our database. Then response.render, we need to render only one post. And here we pass post, we pass image, we pass comments, we pass users. Of course, we can make some kind of that, but we'll stick to the simpler version right there. If there's some kind of error, no redirect, we need to render. So we need to render our error message. Message will be cannot get post from the database. Okay, so we get the specified post, we get the all posts, and right now we need to create the post. So right now we will have the biggest fun because we are going to use our upload function that we provide inside our index.js, inside our middlewares. So over there. Going back there, we are going to create our create post. But first of all, before we'll just do it, it will be create post. We'll just start with our router.get, and it will be last one. So create post is off. We need to get authenticate token. So if everything's okay, we need to double check if the user just log in and can create the post. Try catch block over there. Okay, and there we need to if request that user cost current user await, because we need to provide that user to our post to check if it's off. There was also the check, and we need to provide the ID from that user, the author, and to greet our user. We need that user author to later on simpler and create the post without any problems. So user not find by ID, and there we need the ID, and it's equals to request that user. And if there is current user, so we find, then where's that render? We need to create post, and then user, current user.name, ID, current user.id. And with that information, we are going to render our create post. Okay, but what if it's not the user? There is not a user, because you are going to do that without being authenticated. Then response dot redirect to the main page. Okay, and then catch some errors, response dot render. We need to, if there is an error, render the error, and message we need to provide cannot create post. And we've got our get route of our create user. Right now, we are going to have some fun. So router.post. And here we also need create post and async function request response, and there to get everything work, try catch block. Okay, as you remember, we can provide the upload option from the middleware over here using the molder. Okay, the next thing that you have to provide, we've got our file, and as you remember, I said that the name that you just get here should be the same that we are going to use later on, and that's the thing that we are going to use. So input will be type file that you will be able to click from it and choose the version that you will like to have, and that's why it's important to make the same naming. So sample file, and we are going to use that right now in very easy way. So first of all, we need to check if there is some kind of file from our request, and if it's not, we need to return response.send no file uploaded. And we need to know that there is no file. So let's new image. If everything's okay, we create a new image. And new image, that data will require the file and the buffer. So it will be very long string that we are going to use inside the Mongo database to handle and preserve and stick there our image. The next thing is image that content type, and it will be image.jpg. And with that, we are going to await new image that's safe. So we get and assign image.data, the buffer. So that's the long string, and the content type as image and JPEG to just show later on inside our, for example, user post. The thing that we just provide over here is the data that was hard coded, but of course you can get it from EJS, right? I just got over here. And to be more specific, buffer is not a string, but it looks like string. Is a very long. Okay, it's a string, but you have to modify the buffer to string to create the image, and it's what we are going to do right there. Okay. So right now we need the ghost post. You go new post, and there post title will be request that button that post title. Then we need post description. shell request that body that post description, then offer request that body that offer, and we image new image and ID. And right now await post.save to save our post to database, then redirect to the main page. Just getting over here and response that render error if something go wrong. Come on, message cannot create post. Okay, so we handle our creation of posts. We get all our posts, we get the specific post, and right there we need to get two more things related to our post. So first of all will be router.post. It will be update post. Okay, we've got our update post and is off that authenticate token, because we need to verify if the user is the user. Of course, try catch block, and there we need cast post equal await. We need to get the post that find by ID, and our ID will be request that body the post ID. Okay, because from the route that we are going to get there, we've got our, for example, show post, and here, as you can see over there, we send as an input the post ID as a hidden value, and that's the equal to post ID. That's why the naming convention that I just get there is post ID, and the same part will be with the comments. So first of all, we need to find and then await post not update one to update our post. So post title, we need to check request that body that post title, and if it's not, post title will stay the same. Post description will be the same. So request that body that post description, and we need to close that post description, and everything is okay. We'll just redirect to the main page. But whenever we catch some error, we'll just get error, and as a message, cannot update post. So we are updated our post just using the mongoose method. So update one. The same this way we can check the router.post that we are going to post delete. Of course, we have to check if the user authenticates, so async request response, and there we need try catch block. First, we need to check if there is some kind of post find by ID and delete. So if there is if there is a post, we are going to just delete it using find by ID and delete. And right there, if the post is deleted, we also need to delete the image by ID and delete. Okay, ID, delete image, and where's the redirect to the main page. Else, if there is no deletions, where's that render? We need to render our error handler message cannot delete. Of course, inside our catch will be the same story. So we create our update, we create our delete post. Of course, it's a post. Right now we need 2 more routes. So route.post, let's be create comment. And here to create comment, we need to go to itself, authenticate that token, async request response, and there, as we get the try catch block when it comes post await post find by ID, and whenever we find our post, it equals to request.body.post ID, because as you know, inside our comment model, we need to provide the reference to the post. Of course, to the author as well, but that's what we are going to provide inside our main route. So, for example, whenever we provide the shout post, we can provide get the create the comment ID. Here we also provide the user from the frontend. So cast comment equals new comment, and here comment text request.body, and here we get the comment. Offer also will be request.body offer, and the last thing, post ID will be equals to or command post ID. Whenever we've got our comment text, author, and post ID, we need to save it, and everything should be okay. Then we can just redirect. And whenever we just got some kind of error, we are going to preserve the error here and message cannot create a comment. So that will be create comment. And the last thing that we need to create and to check our application is running everything correctly, we need to create the delete. So router.post, and here will be comment delete. Is off that we need to authenticate as well. Async request response, and there we should try catch block, pass delete, and as we just make with the post, we need to await, and we just have to await comment but find by ID and delete, and ID is equal to request.body comment ID is the same pattern that we created with the post ID, lowercase d, and then redirect to the main page, because we don't have to delete anything with that. Then res.render will create the error, and the message will be cannot delete comment. Okay, we've got everything. The module that exports router, going to our index.js, post routes require the routes and post routes, and here app.use post routes. Okay, so we are ready to go to test our application. So I just preserve and get some kind of data to check if everything's work as it should. We've got our page. I've created some posts as I mentioned before. And we can, for example, sign up the user. It will be just program it, just program it, and program.pro. And it should be, for example, very easy password. I will copy that, create an account, don't save, login. Okay. Log into that path. And as you can see, I can comment the post. For example, hello, nice post. Create comment. And as you can see, whenever we go to that post, hello, nice post from user program. Of course, we only show, as I mentioned before, only 3 posts. Of course, we can delete that. Then we can go to create some kind of hello post. Here I want to show you something. Browse. So go through the files. I will just provide that file, open it, create, wait a few seconds, and as you can see, whenever we go there, I've got hello post with image, and of course there's all the thing that you can check that I can delete that post, but I cannot delete the post of others. Also, I cannot delete the post of the comments of other users. So everything works as it should. So I guess it's all, and see you at the next episode. If you have any questions, ideas, leave them in the comment sections, and see you at the next. Bye.